Good day and welcome to Conversations with AARP in the Virgin Islands. I'm Troy Deshabere Schuster, State Director of AARP in this territory, and as always, it's a pleasure to be with you. We hope that you had a very happy and safe Easter weekend. For those of you who went camping, we hope you enjoyed a wonderful time on the beach with the beautiful weather here in the Virgin Islands. And now we are back to work. The holiday is over. Again, thank you for joining us today and participating in this conversation with AARP Virgin Islands and the Interim Director of the Virgin Islands Housing Finance Authority, Dayna Clendinen. This discussion will explore how the agency is prioritizing home accessibility to address our territory's growing demand for housing. And Ms. Clendinen, welcome.
Good morning. Welcome and welcome to your listeners as well. Good morning.
Thank you. Thank you for being with us today. And so, to start us right off, tell us what you do as the director. Is it like a commissioner role? What do you do in the Housing Finance Authority?
Exactly like a commissioner role. I'm currently serving as the interim executive director for the Virgin Islands Housing Finance Authority. And as your listeners may know, the authority, well, we make paradise living affordable. That's our goal. I serve in two capacities. I also am the Chief Disaster Recovery Officer for the Disaster Recovery Program under VIH-FA. So I'm kind of serving in a dual capacity. Um, but yes, in my interim role, exactly like a commissioner.
Great. And then, what does the Housing Finance Authority do? I'm always under the impression that it deals with the subsidized housing, but I'm gathering that it does not deal with subsidized housing.
Well, as stated, we make paradise living. We live in paradise. How do we make it more affordable? That's our goal. That's our mission. It's what we do. So we serve a clientele of low to moderate income individuals to help them achieve home ownership. That's just one part of what we do. We also do emergency housing. So if somebody is in a domestic situation, or let's say, heaven forbid, a fire in the home, and they need emergency housing, you look to VIHFA. We work with our community partners to find solutions to the homelessness problems we have in the territory. We give community development Black grants to some of these same nonprofits so they could continue their work in homelessness, whatever fits our national objectives with HUD, as well as we give low income housing tax credits. We administer that usually in partnership with developers or our very own VI Housing Authority, just to ensure we could build rental properties for people to have places to live in the territory. We also now administer the ERAP program. So we have a lot, in addition to disaster recovery, we have a lot going on at VIHFA.
It sounds so. Now, you said you manage the something or the other. I didn't catch that. Can you tell us what
Um,
that?
Sure, the Emergency Rental Assistance Program. It is
Okay.
known as ERAP, and for those individuals that lost their jobs due to COVID, we have a program in which you can apply for, and we will pay your rent, pay your landlord for you. So we are currently administering that program.
And for somebody who's a victim of domestic violence, you mentioned that a moment ago. How did they get emergency housing? Is it something that the police department helps to arrange with your department? How does that all work?
I do believe there's a victim advocate at the police department. They will reach out to us. Sometimes clients call us themselves, and we will try to arrange some emergency shelter for them. I gotta tell you, truth be told, we are a bit low in stock because in the territory, sometimes anything temporary becomes permanent, right? So, but that's how it's done. They would reach out to us, or we would have the advocate reach to us as well as we have a number of community foundations and partners that will also assist.
Now, with disaster recovery, I realize that we're still making a recovery from Hurricanes Irma and Maria.
Mhm.
What programs do you still have active now to help homeowners recover?
Well, for homeowners under our Envision Tomorrow program, still very much active. And under this program, if your home was destroyed due to Hurricanes Irma and Maria, we will fund up to some today $250,000 for the repair of your property. So we have, I think, right now, a little over some 600 people in that program, and we are really steady working at it to get those homes repaired.
And how does somebody qualify for assistance in this program, disaster recovery?
Sure. You have to, well, we have a vendor we use. They are out at the mall on St. Thomas, and forgive me, their location escapes me on St. Croix. But you can go there, tell of your situation, go ahead and apply. We're going to ask if you had duplication of benefits. We need to make sure you are the owner of the property. If you were a resident at the property at the time. So there are a number of qualifying questions that one would have to go through in order to be accepted into the program.
Okay. Does it have to be, I know that you're brand new in this role, so I don't want to ask you too many detailed questions, but to the best of your ability, do you
Mhm.
have to be below a certain income, or is it pretty much the people of any income?
Of course, we always, with HUD programs, we always want to target our low to moderate income. But again, for this particular program, not a specific number. So I would ask them to go ahead and apply. There's some people, of course, you could afford to repair your own homes. You certainly would not be eligible for this program. It would be based on what you could produce in which you would qualify.
Okay.
Makes sense.
Right, right, right. And so now, since the pandemic, prior to and more so now, people are having a hard time paying their rent. I know there was a freeze on rent during the pandemic, but now we have even more people who are having a difficult time acquiring their own homes. So, do you have any enhanced programs as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic to assist people with affordable housing?
The only program we're administering right now that would fall into that category, as I spoke about earlier, was our emergency rental assistant program. And again, of course, that's to help tenants pay the landlord any rents that they may have not been able to do during the COVID timeline, COVID period, rather. Um, so that's very much alive and well. And I do want to your listening and viewing audience, if you find yourself in that situation or just thought about it, hey, I wasn't unemployed, I couldn't pay my rent, I would ask you to come in and apply to this program. You can do it online if you visit our website at vihfa.gov and go ahead and apply so that we could get that those funds, your application in, and look about making those funds, those payments to your landlord. So that's really the program we have now where that is considered pandemic.
And are there still new developments taking place around the islands, affordable houses being constructed that people can access?
So, we're like the country. So the rest of the country is really suffering from shortages, a housing crisis that's happening all over the nation, not just in the territory. So right now, VIHFA may have a few land lots for sale. We are still working with our developers, contractors to put up homes as well. Um, but really and truly, as I think about the housing demand in the territory, we are really going to have to start to look at this problem through new lens, fresh eyes, right? And that could be how do we make it more affordable in terms of construction costs and building? It is, I heard somebody say the other day, years ago on St. Croix, it was maybe $200 a square foot. Now we're somewhere in the neighborhood of $315 a square foot. That's extremely high considering St. Croix. And the numbers, of course, go up even more for St. Thomas and even further for St. John. So we are looking at purchasing property, land. Maybe if we purchase land, then people can put their own homes on the land. Just trying to find very creative ways to bring down the cost so it is affordable for individuals. So right now, land lots for sale in some places. Very, very, very few homes as our product and our stock is low.
Yeah, yeah, this is a multifaceted problem because, the contractors have expenses, there's inflation all over, they have to pay the workers who are actually doing the construction a higher
Mhm.
higher wage, a higher salary, as the case may be.
And as you
Um,
know, they're in demand. They're in demand. Workers are in demand. It's just not there. And I want to take this opportunity, if I can. We have a program we are funding with the Department of Labor, Skills for Today. If young individuals, people who are out of work, are just interested in having a new career path, maybe construction is your thing. I know I need construction managers all the time here at the IHFA. I want you to please go to Department of Labor's website, check out that program. This could be something great for you because you learn a skill that you could take with you for years to come. We know what it was like after the hurricane, right? Couldn't find a
yes.
plumber, couldn't find a builder, couldn't find an electrician. We needed all of these type of
Right.
services we couldn't find. So I do want to encourage the public to really check out that Skills for Today program that disaster recovery is funding. But I think it could be a worthwhile career if you're thinking about changing careers. Now is the time. That labor market is scarce for us.
And a lot of those skills are very lucrative, right?
Oh, yes. Oh,
Plumbers, electricians, masons, they do very well. They do very, very, very
they
well.
do. I tell you, even up to today, at one of our facilities, we were looking for a plumber. We needed a plumber, and they are in such high demand now. And to think pre-pandemic, pre-Hurricane Irma and Maria, we could find them, right? They were easily accessible, and now they are in such demand. There is more work than there is of that skill set.
Exactly. One thing I've been noticing because I am a property owner and always doing renovations and so forth. And every time I get an electrician or a plumber or a mason or a carpenter, they're usually advanced in age. Most of
Yeah.
them are like 60 years of age and older. And of course, at AARP, we love to see older people working. But but at the same time, I wonder where are the younger people and what's going to happen when all of these great skilled workers, when they start moving on to the next life, who are we going to have left to do electrical work and plumbing?
And you're absolutely right, which is why I'm so proud of the Skills for Today. So, how do we get those young people? How do we get them into this program? I think about me growing up. What were we told? We were told you got to go to school, get an education. You want to be doctors and lawyers, etc. But there's so much value in being that electrician because I'm going to always need an electrician. I'm going to
Yes.
always need a plumber, But I think there has to be a shift though from the educational level in terms of helping students to see a different career path that is not the route of a doctor or lawyer. Yes, we need those are noble profession, but as is the plumber, the electrician, the mason, the carpenter.
Very important, very important. I mean, well, I'm a great proponent of education and well educated myself. I mean, I realize that we need everybody. We need every skill. We need people who pick up the garbage, right? We
Yes,
need people who clean houses and buildings. We need electricians. We need everybody,
yes, we
right?
do. Yeah.
And everybody has a role to play in uplifting and upbuilding the
Yes.
entire community, and it's not for us to look down in any profession, but to celebrate every profession and to elevate those individuals. And it's so, so important but for that to continue on. And I hope that young people will take advantage of that program
Me too.
and learn these great skills.
Me too. It's so necessary. I do
It
too.
is. It is. And then after a hurricane, we're bringing in people from Florida and all over the United States. What happened to our own people here? They should be making that money, right?
Absolutely. I'm a proponent of that. Local contractors. Did you see my advertisement? Please apply. very much a proponent of that because the money stays in this economy and it just circulates here. And I think that's important for our well-being, overall. So
Right.
yes, I'm a proponent of that.
Here in the Virgin Islands, this is a remarkable time in
Mhm.
the history of our government because there have been two great, well, actually more than two, but two incredible influxes of money
Mhm.
from the federal government, both as a result of the hurricanes and then as a result of the pandemic, huh?
Mhm. Mhm.
And
Absolutely.
so I know that Governor Bryan has many, 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 many projects on the drawing table, and we see them rolling out now. So I'm interested in seeing what your department has for us. Do you have any special things on the horizon? I know you're interim, and I don't know if you want to like stay there, but that's another conversation. But do you have anything interesting on the horizon coming out?
Actually, we do for the ARPA funds. I think we are allotted some $20 million, which is pretty exciting because I want to transition from disaster recovery. But with the ARPA funds, programs we're looking at funding is our cistern and slab. We want to give some $2 million to that, where clients uh, that has property that needs to construct a cistern and slab, we're happy to help fund that, of course, territory wide. We want to give land loans. There are some folks that have the means, but maybe they don't have the land. We want to be able to help you with that. One of the things I love best about what the team came up with for this money is being able to provide architectural drawings. That's a big deal when you think about it. Like, we would develop contract with an architect and draw out plans for 2, 3, 4 bedroom homes that the public could come and buy from us, so that they don't have to start from the ground. If they want to make improvements, they can. But there's a considerable cost because, drafting plans, it is not at all cheap. And then also to make it reasonable. Sometimes we have our architects go and they draft that dream home, right? And it turns out the bank will tell us you can't afford to build that. That's costing you 1.5 million. So just having realistic plans, I want to say, that still provides you a good home. So I really love that. I love the whole being able to fund for moderate income folks. At VIHFA, we do a lot of work for low income individuals, but that moderate income person, a person making 85,000, 90,000, they're still unable to achieve home ownership in the territory. So using some of the ARPA fund to target those individuals so that we could help them buy a home and maybe offer up to some $350,000 for that. And we could act as a secondary financing entity where maybe the primary loan is with the bank. You need your 20% down, you come to us. If you need uh, anything around that, if you're moderate income, I think we can help. So I'm really excited about the ARPA funds and what we can do with it for our people.
As I was listening to you just now, it's reminiscent of the Homestead Act, which we had here, back, I think, in the 1950s. My grandfather, Ralph Deshabert, he was in the council, the colonial council, the municipal council back then.
Mhm.
And he was one of the architects of the Homestead Act. And that really helped so many local people, as you would say natives, but now what is it? Who is a native, right? How do we define that? But with Virgin Islanders
Right.
to have a homestead, and in many cases a homestead was 10 acres of land
Mhm.
with a small house already on it.
Mhm.
Um, and then from there, you could divide up the land, give to your children, to your grandchildren, and so forth. I don't know if a Homestead Act would work that well these days with 10 acres of land, but what you're saying is sort of reminiscent of that, helping people to acquire land and to buy a home or to build a home.
And that's our mission. It's really why we exist, to provide affordable living in the territory. It's why we exist. And I think with all this opera money, with all this disaster recovery money, we kind of had to stray a little bit from that because we need to do what the money says. But I think with the ARPA funds, however, it kind of brings us back to the core, including with any local dollars we have. The other day, the Senate appropriated some $4 million as well to help us with the moderate income individuals, also providing them loans, etc. So it's a humongous task, disaster recovery, emergency rental assistance, and still staying with our core. But getting developers to come in, as well as I talked about earlier, very expensive venture, very expensive venture. We assisted with our low-income housing tax credit with the Dunu project on St. Thomas. Some of those units, they cost about $700,000 a unit. That's extremely expensive. But our job is, how do we make it affordable for our people to live there?
Now, let's say somebody owns a tract of land, 10, 15, 20 acres, and they don't know what to do with it, but they're thinking maybe of turning it into affordable housing. Uh, can they approach your department and your authority, and what can you all do to help somebody like that?
Absolutely. I got to tell you, we are in the hunt for land on St. John, particularly because we just don't have the space there. But if somebody wants to donate or give us land or tell us we have to purchase it from you, we are willing to have the conversation. And I would urge you to call my office at 340-777-4432 and ask for Mr. Darren Richardson. He's the Chief Operating Officer. And we could begin that dialogue because we are in desperate need of land. We are always searching, again, particularly on St. John. Contact us. Let's have a conversation about that.
Now, what if the person doesn't want to sell the land to the government, but they want to develop it? Like, let's say,
Call us too.
okay,
We can have the conversation. Call us too. We'll figure out how to help. We'll figure out how to help because it's exactly what we do with developers too, right? They come in, they build on the land, so we could have the conversation with them as to how that would work. So call us too.
yeah, well, that's really, really, really wonderful because I'm sure that there are landowners out there who would be willing to participate and help the community in this way, but they don't have the money to shell out of their own pocket to make it happen. So we hope that people listening to this may be inspired to get involved and create more affordable living here in the Virgin Islands.
We might have to get creative, but call us because my team wants to have the dialogue. Like I said, we need to start looking at it from new lenses and have to be innovative in our approach if we are to address this housing crisis we have.
You know, I want to make a plug for teaching young people about building credit, right? I had an interesting short dialogue with a young lady not long ago. She was working in a fast food restaurant here in St. Croix. Wouldn't call any names. I don't want to point her out in any way or cause embarrassment. And I went through the drive-through, and when it came time to pay, I handed her my credit card. And it was one of those, fancy black cards made of metal and I guess titanium. I don't know what they make those cards out of, but it's metal. Rather impressive looking and feeling card. And she said, "What's this?" And I said, "A credit card." She said, "This is like what you get from Banco Popular when you open an account." I said, "No, that's a debit card you're talking about. This is a credit card." And she said, "Oh, so what, you have money in this or you got to pay it back?" And this is a young lady who had already finished high school, and I'm trying to explain to her right there at the window what a credit card is, how a credit card works. And I asked her about building credit and she had no clue. And I was so saddened, and I thought to myself, if I ever see her again, I want to sit down and have a conversation with her and give her some more training and understanding as to credit. But for people to go out and borrow money to buy a home or build a home, even with the assistance of your authority, they need to have credit, right? Good credit, reasonably good credit, to be able to buy an automobile or anything. And it seems to me like a lot of our young people don't understand that. And they really need to learn that. So I don't know whether you can whisper in the right ear in the Department of Education or the Department of Labor to teach our young people about that.
Well, it's I'm glad that you said that. Our home ownership team actually goes out, and they have been called to government offices, to schools, everywhere, where we kind of do a tutorial or provide some information on what it means to have good credit, how it helps on budgeting, and what you need for a home, how much you have to save. So they really do a good educational outreach. Again, if you're listening, audience, maybe you have a group, an organization for the young people, etc., we are happy to come and do that type of outreach as well. The homeownership team really does a good job in kind of telling what you need if you're to achieve home ownership. So I too am starting to hear that we didn't get those, or that individual didn't get that life skill in school, because I remember having it for myself. So I don't know why not, but I'm saddened to hear that.
Yeah, well, I'm glad to hear you have that program, and I would encourage you to keep on with that and to ramp it up because it all hinges on good credit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Being able to get credit cards, to be able to travel and rent automobiles, to be able to buy an automobile, to buy a house.
Yes.
And in the States, you have to have good credit to even rent an apartment.
Yes.
You can't even get
About
the mortgage.
understanding credit. It's about understanding credit. That needs to be taught. Understanding how it works. Yeah.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have just about 2 minutes left. Any last words for audience, and tell us how we can find out more about you, about your department, all the great programs you offer.
Sure. Just again, thank you for this opportunity. It really was my great pleasure to be here. Um, if your listening audience is interested in anything I've had said today, please reach out to us. I will always ask you to do your research first online via hfa.gov. We even have a tab for disaster recovery there. We have our ERAP information there. All our programs, grants, etc. Please visit our website. But if you need to talk to somebody, which we're fine, we're happy to do that too. Please call us at 340-777-4432 on St. Thomas, and 340-772-4432 on St. Croix. And we are happy to talk to you about any of the programs I talked about today or anything I've said today. Thank you so much.
Great.
Great.
Well, thank you
Well,
so
thank
much.
you so
We
much.
had a
We had
little
a
technical difficulty there at the last moment, but I think our audience heard everything you had to say. I dropped out for a moment, but life in the Virgin Islands, here we are. But again, thanks so much, Ms. Clendinen, for being with us. It was very informative, and I will certainly be contacting you in your office regarding some other questions and possibilities. And it was really informative today. Thanks so much for being with us.
Thanks for having me. Have a
Have a
great
great
rest of
day.
the day.
You too. Thank you.
Bye bye.